And welcome back, everybody, to the grand finals of Emergence Day Split 1 playoffs. I'm Taylor Reflections Opal, joined by Guy Blaze and Jacob MVPR, and the time has come to finally crown a champion. Is it going to be E United? Will it be Pioneers? Won't be E United. Will it be Rise? Or will it be Pioneers? You guys didn't see that. We're going to find out very shortly. It's going to be a good time. Here's a refresher. It was a great intro up until that point, Jacob, but we all make mistakes.
We definitely all make mistakes, just like E United. They made a mistake yesterday by costing me my predictions championship almost without having to go through sudden death, and they made a mistake today by two big maps. Maps number 3 and maps number 5. They didn't win a single round, so it just feel like it's almost like wasted effort, all that energy just to lose flat out the way they did. But that's got to be a boost of energy. You know, game number 1 for the Pioneers against Elevate 3-1, a warm-up process, a close series number 2 against E United. You got to think the Pioneers will have no excuses left if things go south.
No excuses left, Blaze. There really is no excuses at this point. Bryce, Pioneers, clearly the best teams currently in the tournament. They made it here for a reason. It's the first ever split, right, for Emergence Days. The first ever big prize pool we've had for one of these E-Days. This is a big moment.
Yeah, it is a really big moment here, and I'm happy to see these two teams in our grand finals, because you think about that last major event in which we had, it was both of these squads in there. So it's only fitting that they get a chance to get that rematch, and I'm excited to see how what they're both going to bring to the table.
I'm excited as well. Let's get into it, guys, shall we? Let's take a look at our maps that we're going to be rolling with for this grand finals. We start off on Regency, and I got to say, man, this is fitting. You know, Rise had that wonderful comeback, Jacob, against Noble. They kept them at 297. They got the win, and that shows great composure. The entire series against Noble for Rise was a dominating effort. For Pioneers, they beat E United there in a more convincing way. That's where we start grand finals.
Yeah, when I look at this map, it's a kind of aggression from both ends. There's a little teamwork oriented with Regency, having to block the spawns, go down the passageways, the bait and switch when that damage comes out. But Execution, Vasgar, Reactor, and Tomb, all very, very aggressive maps right out of the gate. So being able to have your plan intact, go ahead and trying to execute first is going to be the key for these teams in this series overall.
It's going to be the key indeed, Blaze. I know you got a lot to say about these 5 maps.
You know what? When it comes down to it, you know, looking at it at first glance, I'm excited. I'm pretty much always excited to watch our escalations. The way Rise played their last one, the Pioneers better watch out. I'm actually going to be favoring Rise in that Vasgar escalation too.
Okay.
Now the checkout is going to be a toss-up. Well, checkout is going to be less of a toss-up for me. I think the Pioneers can take that one. Now the rest of the maps, they honestly can go either way, because both these squads are really talented when it comes down to the control as well as the execution. So with that being said, we're just going to have to strap ourselves in and watch. But ultimately, we got 5 good maps for the cycle, 5 maps in which I feel like are good for both the teams.
Last time these two teams met against each other was week 4, and I believe it was the final match for week number 4, Jacob, and it was a good victory from Pioneers. They ended up beating Rise 3-1. Hopefully this series is going to be a bit different, and I think it will be. Again, Rise's victory over Noble was dominant. The most dominant win, I think the most dominant loss I've ever seen a team give to Noble in the entirety of their existence.
Yeah, and you also got to kind of combine that with the fact of the last time these two teams match up, it was not only a mollywhopping in the side of the Pioneers. You got to take note of anybody really watched that map, breaking it down. Rise was playing at about a shell of themselves. They weren't firing on all cylinders, multiple shots being missed, playing as individuals and not a full team. Today, they look completely different. They look like they're ready to take over and be in championship form, not only for today and take home that lion's share, but going into that major. And for them, that's got to be saying something, because they're doing it all without practice.
Yeah, you make a valid point, you know, because like I felt like the first time that they played, they wasn't themselves. Okay, the Rise got absolutely stomped in that Pro League matchup, and it didn't look like the Rise that we saw throughout the rest of the league. So I'm hoping that we get that version that we saw take down Noble against this Pioneer.
Yeah, no practice seems to be working. Surely they're scrimming now at this point. I know we've been talking about a long time. It's kind of trivial. I mean, does it really even matter because Rise is playing as good as they are, whether they're scrimming or not scrimming? Blaze, they're playing at the top of their game, first in Pro League for a reason, and in Grand Finals for a reason. So if it's not fixed, don't broke it. So if they haven't been scrimming, honestly, just keep taking the time off. You're about to have a week or so off because of Thanksgiving. Maybe they even get even better and better, right? Because of that long break.
Yeah, maybe they get better and better. No, I'm laughing at you because you said if it ain't fixed, don't broke it or something, right? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. You said it backwards.
Oh, did I? Come on, man. Who are you to judge? No, hey, come on.
I'm not. You know me of all people, okay? I just laughed. Yeah, I just want to give context to my laughter.
Though. The sentiment is still there, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of hard in this series to kind of look at it because you have a team in Rise that's just looking good without practice. And all jokes aside, you have a team on the side of the Pioneers. I don't know how much practice they have, but they're not openly admitting it out there. And these series are a little bit closer than a lot of us have expected. So for the Pioneers, man, hopefully they're warmed up, ready to go. And for Rise, this is like after that beatdown like we were talking about, this is revenge. This is them showing that they're not going to go down without a fight. And like I keep saying, these last moments before the major, it means so much in terms of confidence building, pushing that momentum onto your side, and then going ahead and just looking at the rest of the playing field and just going into that major with a chip on your shoulder.
Chip is it's gonna be large, man. It's gonna be large. Did I really see if it ain't fixed, don't break it?
I broke it. You didn't even say break it. You said broke it. I'm not one to talk either, man. I don't know what I say half the time.
Like, I ain't trying to give you shit, Taylor, okay? Because you know me. I say some stuff.
That's kind of weird to say, though. I messed up the intro. Now I'm saying that. I had some killer food, man. Some nice pot roast on the break.
Ooh.
Maybe it made me a little tired. I don't know what it's... Okay. Normally food makes me better, but right now, it's taking me home.
I got me a steak on the counter, dry brining, waiting for me to cook it right after this. So I'm ready for dinner.
Chef Blaze, baby. Chef Blaze. You thought he was going to be having a McDonald's burger at the end? Nah, he's going to be cooking that nice steak at the end. What kind of side you got?
Cabbage and kale. Cabbage and kale.
Well, the steak will be good.
With that steak. Yeah, with the three of those together? No, yeah, I need that. I got to get my veggies in.
All right.
Do whatever spices and marinade you do. Or you do any sauce? A1 or you just keep it dry?
Oh no, you know what? So the funny thing is that when you do a dry brine, you just put the meat out on the counter because you want your steak to be room temperature when you cook it, right? And then from there, when you add salt to meat, it actually pulls the moisture out of meat, right? And so when you put salt on it and it pulls the moisture up, the seasoning falls into the meat, all right? And so that's the dry brine. So you could do a wet brine and marinate it overnight. You could do a dry brine and just use seasoning, salt based. So.
I love how we went from talking about fast food and steaks because that was one of my thoughts when we were talking about fries, right? And steaks in general. Like if your steak doesn't taste good unless you add a sauce, it's very, very similar to French fries. If you have to add stuff to your fast food fries, they're probably not that good to begin with. Same with the steak, other than the seasoning. Obviously, you add your salt to your fries. If you have to add a sauce to make your steak good, you probably cook it.
Hey, man, I said yesterday, ketchup too spicy for me. I can't eat it. I really can't. That stuff is crazy.
Dude,
all right?
I cannot take that.
I'm joking. Well, hey,
thank God Kenny's on the sideline. You talk about ketchup in that way, he will take your head off.
Hey, Blaze, you said you wanted your steak room temperature. Well, I think it's going to be after this one because this is going the distance, all right? Pioneers and Rise. This is going to be a fantastic matchup. The breakout attempt is finally here. These two teams want to beat each other badly, right? Rise, they've been on that revenge tour, and they're looking the best they've ever looked. This major looking like it's going to be theirs. Pioneers, though, they don't want to lose. They haven't lost in 4 months, and they want to keep that streak flawless heading into the major. First hill is scrappy, but it looks like Rise has the manpower on it. But Pioneers, they're coming back into break it, Jacob.
Just like in that first matchup on this match for Rise, they start off with a big victory on towards the hill, but it's not going to be as easy this time around as Kansas City wastes no time pushing right back in, even going past through the shock that was laid out for Rise. So the first early hill and the big amount of points for it is going to go over to the Pioneers. And take note of your minimap. You already see Xysho going deep into the spawn. You see Acells cementing himself, trying to catch anybody being sneaky. So you can already see the plan in mind. Rise wants to go for next, which is going to put some pressure on them to defend the hill if they can take it over from the Pioneers.
Yeah, and so I love the play from him so far, but they got to be wary of the spawn. They're going to know us since the player's back here. They have to force him out this position. And Rushiez going to be quick with going out wide, but Avexys with some suppressing fire over the top, he gets the kill on Xysho and gets the mark on Acells. Lets the squad know that, hey, I got two people in front of me. Give me some help in just a second. Rise, they are fortified around this hill, but they're going to have to win one more fight before a transition.
One more fight indeed, these nades, or at least this last nade from Hndles. Curious how much of an effect it's going to have. He's just going to go ahead and throw it inside the hill. That's going to give Poineers an opportunity, or at least to go ahead to push forward. Great kill on Avexys. Taking him down is literally perfect because now the M-bar is out of the way, plus Rise's numbers have been reduced. But it's not over with just yet because Rise, they're laying down that Lancer fire. They want the hill for themselves, and look at that kill feed. Lighting up red, and Poineers, despite a nice nade, taking down the player they needed to, getting rid of the M-bar momentarily. Rise gets the hill back to their favor. They still have spawn control, and they also have the M-bar back.
The map goes over to the Poineers, though. That's going to be a big denial from Icy, and that's one of the things I would say. You saw Rushiez for a moment there, kind of stutter step, thinking, am I going to block the spawn? Am I not? He chooses to help the team. Giving that spawn over to the Poineers, that's what I say. It's going to come through a big defense from Rise if they want to tie the scoreline up.
Now, Rise, so far the defense has been going well, but that was a big M-bar shot that just got missed, especially with that down in front on. He needs to hit that shot for Rushiez, but ultimately in the end, the fight will still be won by Rise as Icy takes down Precision. We're seeing a rotation across map. Detox just got spawns for Rushiez as well, so Rise is exactly where they want to be to kind of, relax and keep Poineers down at bay on top of the hill while the rest of the squad transitions over.
Nice shot. Nice shot. Taking down Hndles. Rise is on fire. 63 to 51. It's close, but Rise is heating up and making some big kills, making big moments theirs. How can they take over this hill? Well, it's going to be tough. Precision is going to be putting up a wonderful fight inside, and in fact, he's going to go ahead and take down Rushiez. Detox wanted to challenge there, but he's just not going to get the value he needed, so he's going to go ahead and back off of that. Fair enough. Poineers now in control of the hill. They retake the lead to their favor. Avexys, Jacob, might have a big impact, though.
They got the spawn point, so that death is just a few seconds that they need to wait for the guy to come back in and make an impact. Detox does with a double kill from the frags, make it a triple kill as he whips out the shotgun as well. He goes around for the ace. Detox does absolutely everything for Rise to keep the lead intact. And you said it yourself, Reflections, they are definitely heating up in this matchup, but now they're chaining together two hills. It's going to come through another defensive stop if the Poineers want to try to attack it. But with only 30 seconds left, this is where their decision is going to be crucial.
Yeah, it is going to be crucial, but we see that they're committing to it. It's a close game. They're in the hill, but whoever loses this fight is going to have to rotate as soon as possible. The flash comes out for Rise. Avexys steps up. The one down is there, but the revives come through for the Poineers, and it's going to be Icy on that early rotation as the rest of the squad went down. The Poineers will probably get this to a tie game, and they're going to start to rotate. But Icy, I like how he's using his smoke. He's going to have to reposition soon. Those nades are up, and he's getting crossed by multiple people.
Trying to back out. Can't do it, though. Goes back in. At least we'll take down Hndles. He needs Detox now to kind of carry the torch. Nades picked up, but he can't get away in time. Acells, he's put the pressure. He's closed the gap, but Detox stays alive. These nades now going to be valuable for pushing up or at least separating Poineers out. The first one's thrown. That backs up Precision as well as his teammate Xysho. Xysho's actually going to separate. I like that. Create the distance, find an angle on Detox. He's not going to stop the nade being thrown, but he's at least going to have an impact with the M-bar, you'd have to assume. Good shot placed to mid. Detox hit with a beautiful body, and that's going to give the opportunity for Hndles to get in, take him down, Jacob. Xysho, though, having some competition. Icy wants him dead.
Some separation, though. That's what allows Icy to push up. Avexys gets the flank to clean up that kill, but Icy going down, forcing that chain revive to go out, and Detox shows up just in the nick of time to take out Precision. It will be contested here, so no more point game from the Poineers, but a 3v2, possibly even a 4v3 opportunity if Rise plays their cards right, but Detox misses the shuffle. He goes down. 3 players fall in the blink of an eye. Rushiez gets 1. He's trying to even it up as much as possible. Great shots on the Xysho. He's trying to clean up the elimination, but he's also trying to buy time for his team. Back-to-back shots being landed. Rushiez, he cannot be stopped up until then. The numbers finally catching up to him, but Detox Detox showing up, accidentally hopping over the cover. That's going to be a blunder that is not only going to cost him his life, but it could cost his team the hill, and it does as Avexys gets shut down last.
Yeah, that was a real scrappy fight, and it just ended. And with 20 seconds left, Rise just needs to focus on next, but as the Pioneers were spotting up, they actually got the good spawns that they wanted. Now, they know based off the heal indication that the fourth player is a ways away, so Rise is trying to use his time now to engage, but they feel like they have the numbers. But even with the Pioneers just having 3, it was more than enough to take down that Rise push.
Good stats coming out from Xysho. As you expect, right? The bulk of the damage done, about to reach 11K. He's done a wonderful job, and he's had a big impact with the caps and breaks, too. So he's been inside the hill, putting in the work for Pioneers. Despite that, though, Pioneers with the 142-91 lead. Not the biggest lead, I'm sure, but it could get out of control. Rise, they need a break here. Great shock to push Hndles out, but you got to capitalize off that. You got to take him out in return, but he stays alive. In fact, gets it down shortly after that. Nades will be pushing up, but Hndles, he wants to pursue Rise, but ultimately he's going to die. But look at this, Acells is on the flank.
We've got some fight left in us.
Gets one. Tries to get that wraparound shot. Pops him over the top. Goes back to back here. Almost gets that third, but Avexys shuts him down. That was a big shutdown needed from Avexys as they get that 30 seconds. And the timing that they have it, they're forcing the rotation to come through from the Pioneers. They're playing for weapons. They want to try to get the M-Bar out of the hands of Detox while simultaneously playing for the next hill. And they're going to have an advantage because you see Avexys continuing to rack up that time. Detox gets one over the top, but the M-Bar will go out of play regardless, as Rise won't back down from this exchange, regardless if they're down or not.
Yeah, now, Rise, then they shouldn't be backing down from it just yet. They have to press through to get towards couches. Icy quickly was trying to watch the flank, but the Pioneers being so close to each other, grouped as 3, that's all they need is negate that damage that Rise is putting out. Rise either has to have a little bit better focus fire or get closer to finish off those kills. They're hitting their shots, but the kills just aren't being finished off. And so it's just making it harder for them to get closer and closer, because you see it right now as the Pioneers are backing up. That's a big kill from Avexys to alleviate some pressure from the side, but he needs some help from his teammate to get the revive, but they neither will survive. Rushiez goes down. Oh, he does survive. Does he gets all 3?
He got all 3. He got all 3. That is wild. Precision and Xysho were looking so strong in that fight. I love the delegation, but Detox clutched it up, and Hndles, he's forced to retreat. Now, Pioneers, they do have the closer spawn, so they're going to have another attempt to push in, and they're going to do it with a quickness. They're ready to take it over, and taking down Detox finally is going to be a big step forward. Rushiez trying to isolate a member with the Lancer Fire, and he will get a drop to his credit, but either way, Pioneers right back in the driver's seat, despite the heroics of Detox just a little bit earlier, Jacob.
A hot start from Rise has definitely slowed down, and Pioneers have gained some traction here in the last couple of hills to get themselves the lead back on over by 4 as Hndles catching Icy slipping. First shot onto his opponent as he continues to get aggressive, and now he's going to go ahead and try to back off. You know, it's all about wasting time here. The longer he fights away from the hill, the more time he's going to have for his team to rack it up as Xysho goes back to back, taking out both Rushiez and Detox. Avexys has the M-Bar in front of him, but he's the guy kind of bleeding this hill dry, letting the rest of his teammates kind of move on. So he's just getting that information, marking off of Avexys and letting his team know where the rotation has come in, because at this side of the map, there's only a few options that you can actually do.
The Pioneers have all the nades to work with for this hill, but the M-Bar in the hands of Avexys as he gets one in the tag to help out on a down. Precision is in a corner. He should get cleaned up if Rushiez can make it out alive. The revive is there, but they finally are able to take him out, but it got scary for Rise just a second as they're still losing members. Oh my God, they just lost 3 when they got 2 kills that quickly. Rise should have been in that hill collecting points, but instead, they're playing from behind now.
Literally everything went right for Pioneers in that moment. Not only do they win Rose Garden convincingly, they also get the M-Bar out of the way, taking down Avexys and also controlling spawns, forcing Rise out. Rise, they'll get to the hill, but if they don't win this, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Plus, they're going to be forced to rotate, but now points are starting to get away from them. But Rise, slowly but surely, starting to push through. 40 seconds. Hndles trying his best to keep it contested and alive. Eventually, will die. Rise going to take this opportunity to take spawn control. They understand Pioneers are in a great spot, Jacob, so it's imperative that Rise wins this fight cleanly.
And depending on when they stop capturing this hill time is how much opportunity they're going to give themselves either be successful or not on this next hill push to come through. And if they're not ready to push, I say they should just gather as much time as humanly possible. And that looks like what it's going to do is Detox just waiting for the last moment to pop off of the hill. A down coming through for the Pioneers. And they're actually going to finish that one off as Rushiez gets taken out. Icy trying to be the hero. He took too much damage. He's going to fall as well. They stagger out that death, making it that much harder for Rise to push up, but Rise has that spawn point, so it's not going to take too long for once they spawn for them to make that rotation and try to contest this next hill.
Yeah, they're close, but not fully having a spawn as Hndles has that cross. He gets one down, gets two downs, able to acquire one kill, and knowing that Avexys has one left on him. Oh my God, as he picks up three, that's going to be the fourth player taken out, and Icy, he can't get another down. In the end, the Pioneers will continue to hold this setup, and they can win off this.
Definitely can. Pioneers in a great spot. Huge opening map for them. Rise played this incredibly well against Noble. Now, remember, they made that big comeback. So Rise is now in that same spot they were before. Points aren't as crazy, but they definitely can be, depending on how this push goes for Rise. Here comes the push. Rushiez once again hitting a beautiful nade. So that's going to take the back player off. But Xysho evens it up, taking down one. Precision, though, quickly falls. Oh, what another guy shot onto Avexys. That's going to stop the push on the left, and now they can focus solely on Icy as the rest of Rise members are sprinting as quickly as they can to get over. 25 seconds. Rise at least guarantees another hill, Jacob, but Pioneers feeling more comfortable than they ever have been.
Yeah, and you can already see they're just getting as much time on this hill, similar to what Rise did on that last one. So that way, it just comes down to scrap time. So no matter what Pioneers gets, whether it's the front time of the hill or the last time of the hill, it's just going to make it that much more winnable as finally Xysho is going to rotate off. And he has the distance with that M-bar to put in work as IC gets taken down. Acells goes back-to-back as he takes out Detox as well. Rushiez tries to force the play, and there goes that M-bar from downtown that I was talking about, disrupting any opportunity that Rushiez has. Now Rise with the split spawn coming through. They need to be careful, particularly Avexys. He's caught by himself in no man's land. Pioneers make quick work of that, and Detox gets shut down, and they'll take map number 1 in our finals away from Rise.
Woo-wee. The Pioneers, they will strike first. And what a clean map that was for them. You know, they had the early rotations coming through. They won a lot of big fights, but the clutches, those 1v2s that they come out with, those 1v2s that the Acells can just pull from behind out of nowhere are huge, absolutely huge. And we see the Pioneers, when they set up in their defensive positions, they put themselves in some annoying spots for Rise to clear, and they have to make these perfect plays. And it's hard to do that against this Pioneers team when they got a lead because they're really loose with their setups.
Loose indeed, and not to mention as well Xysho being a huge impact. That damage he had was incredible. I think 21k as a whole. Big impact plays. Love his anchoring role, and Hndles not playing bad himself. You mentioned Acells Blaze, and beautifully done from him. He was picking up multiple two pieces. Now, if we want to highlight Rise, though, Jacob, Detox had many incredible moments. He was the shining star, in my opinion. I love the shots from Avexys. Make no mistake about it. The nades were hitting clean, too. But Detox tried as hard as he possibly could. At the end of the day, it's a team effort, and Rise just couldn't get it together. Why do you think this was so one-sided? You know, we mentioned Acells, we mentioned Xysho, Blaze obviously mentioning, those annoying angles that they were setting up on, but what else, right? What else did Rise have to battle against?
I think they kind of lacked in the slaying power. You got to look at what kind of got them this far today, and it's Rushiez just being that tip of the spear and taking on the world at times. And in this map, in this matchup alone, I think he went like 8 and 20 in terms of kills and deaths. So he's obviously not having the best day, and that kind of trickles down towards the rest of the squad. If one of your big slayers are losing fights constantly, they're not alleviating the same pressure that you might be used to, which means you can't play into the same game plan as you did before. And with that said, I don't think they were making adjustments for Rushiez not coming up big in his play. They were playing as if he was coming up with these eliminations. In fact, he was not.
Yeah, you gotta ask yourself why that wasn't, right? And so, in the end, those eliminations wasn't coming through for him. Like, Rise was set up for these team fights and they would put out the damage, but once those downs came in, very few times they were able to kind of get in there and clean up those kills. Even in situations right here where they're wolf pack and they got each other's back, they're still losing 2 players in that engagement. And so it's just the same plays on the offense was not working out like it was for the Pioneers.
Well, I do want to actually go back a little bit towards the midway points, and I want to see maybe if you guys know what the breaking point was, because Jacob, in the beginning, Rise was looking incredible. You know, they had a little bit of a lead. Pioneers was keeping, you know, neck and neck very close, but there was a distinct moment in the halfway point where Pioneers just started taking over and taking off. What was the breakaway point? You mentioned adjustments from Rise, but I guess maybe a positive for Pioneers is they adjusted to whatever Rise was doing. What was that adjustment they made? Because again, it was so close until it wasn't.
And what they do a good job of in almost every scenario, whether if it's escalation, execution, or control, is when they're in those bad situations, they're not continuously forcing those bad situations. They're not continuously putting themselves in disadvantageous fights. They're one of the few teams in the league right now that sacrifice those extra seconds, waiting for their teammates to spawn in, waiting for them to go ahead and make a push. And another thing that I feel like they do right that was very, very successful in this matchup is when they leave these hills towards the tail end. Yeah, they were scrapping it down to the wire, but they leave these hills with enough time to have multiple attempts to break through before the hill even changes. So that way, even if they're not successful, the hill rotates over, the team is set up. It's just at the start of that hill rotating. So they have more than enough time to think of some sort of plan or pop a trick out from underneath their sleeve to make something work.
And just to even add on to that, like the last three hills, 3-4 hills at that, where it was close. You know, you think about the scrappy middle hill that we got at Statue that went back and forth where the Pioneers get those last 20 seconds. We go to Fountains. Rise lost that engagement playing from the low side of Rose Garden. They took it 4v3, but they still lost that one, right? Because they had to play from the low side. Then they had to go up top towards Couches where you get the early rotation from the Pioneers once again. Detox was able to clean up those 3 kills, but the engagement lasted so long. Pioneers is back in there, contest the hill. They get those points. You go to Rose Garden. Rise gets M-bar. They get those two, the M-bar kill and that down on precision, but they still got wiped in a hill right after and lost the power weapons. And Pioneers get control and they get set up on that final hill at the end. So it just wasn't clean for Rise there. They missed out on a lot of big plays.
Well, it's a big loss. Pioneers obviously feeling more confident than ever. We're heading into map number 2. It's going to be Checkout. We've talked about the struggles that Pioneers have had on that map, really. A lot of our top tier teams, but this one's a bit different for me, Blaze, right? Rise, Pioneers. We talked about the maps beforehand, and you actually benefited Pioneers here. Why is that?
I benefited Pioneers here because I love the way that Xysho anchors down towards that back lane. And so, you know, I just feel like they're going to be a little bit better when it comes down to making sure that everyone stays in front of them, right? And that's super important because when players start flaking you and getting behind you, you don't know it. It's absolute chaos. But Pioneers do a good job at preventing that chaos that Rise is about to try to ensue here.
All right, Jacob, let's get it going, baby. Map number 2, and already we're at a 3v3.
Yeah, you see Rise trying to force these situations again. So far, narrowing down to a 2v2, but there's separation. 2 players from Rise were on 2 different sides, and now you see them imposing their will. Back to what they are known for. Teabag is showing absolutely no respect in some of these rounds. And honestly, Pioneers versus Rise is kind of emerging as like the new classic matchup between our top teams.
I don't think Rushiez ordered any tea there, Blaze, so I don't know what Acells is trying to serve up.
Man, I've been drinking nothing but tea, okay? Hell, you can serve me
well, Acells has got it for you then.
Yeah, he do, all right? The way he been playing all night, I'll take a few of those bags. Yeah.
Yo, Blaze! Blaze, let me tell you something. Out of all the Gears cast, like, Colin gets wild and says some things, but sometimes you, man, you take the cake.
It's a rare occasion, and it really is. Oh, man. Hey, he's been coming out with big plays all night, yo. Somebody get this man a chip. Well, he already got a few chips. He needs some other things. But here on screen, Icy able to pick up 2, and Rise got themselves in a good position. But with Xysho going down, no immediate revive. That'll be all the kills cleaned up. They can give some love back.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Let them know, baby. it's not going to be as long-winded, right? But Rise, they're not about the theatricals. They're just about the results, okay? So round 2, beautiful job from them. They tied up 1-1, and they let, Jacob, they let Pioneers know this isn't going to be as easy as you think, right? You can show all the love you want, but at the end of the day, we're Rise, and we're going to make this competitive. We want this just as much as you. Overtime Hill's going to be on Sniper, Jacob. Let's head into round 3.
Aggression kind of strats not changing up just yet. 3 over, 1 out wide, and I expect that to change closer this one gets towards its finish as Icy picks up those instants. He goes down. The bait and switch is there. Detox with the perfect revive. Rushiez rotating back from those frag grenades. A couple of players are getting dropped out, including Icy and those incendiary grenades. Rushiez makes the rotation over. He's going to drop. I don't even know if they notice Hndles on this flank as they continue to push forward in towards their advantage, and now they have a 2v1. Hndles definitely has his hands full, but I will say no incense in play, no sniper in the hands of Rise, so Hndles definitely has a chance. Oh, well, I spoke too soon.
Yeah, as these incenses are going to come out. Avexys just needs to toss one and just kind of block off his route, and he will. He's going to make sure that Hndles has to go towards the inside. I love, you see how Avexys backs up? He's like, you are not going to rush me on this platform. We will cross you out and make sure we win this round, because Rise knows how important this map is.
Very important indeed. This is going to at least start, or at least keep it 1-1 tied up. And when we go into Vasgar, it's anybody's ball game there. We'll talk about more when we get to that point. Overtime Hill is going to be up to Electronics, and Rise with a 2-1 lead, feeling more confident than ever, forcing an answer and a response from Pioneers in this moment. And it looks like we are going to have the 1v1 up top. Yep, so Hndles and Rush is going to be opposite of each other. Meanwhile, in checkout stands, the 3v3 will ensue. And that 1v1's popping off quite aggressively. In fact, Hndles is the one who got it started, picking up the nades. Rushiez, though, will punish him and get the finish. So great job. Pioneers already down just 2 members, but maybe a response.
He got the frags, though, because of that meat shield and him kind of throwing out the flash that when he did. And that's one of the things I was kind of talking about, Blaze. The little tip for anybody still trying to learn at this stage in the game. You guys saw how Hndles picked up those frag grenades, tried to get alive, but he got down. Whether he has them in his hands or not, if you have an empty utility spot when it comes to your frags or whatever it is, you can pick up whatever your opponent possesses, a shot grenade, frag, even if it's a flash or a smoke. Again, a great heads-up play from Rushiez there, even though it wasn't too impactful, to know the situation and at least try to get those frag grenades under the Rise control.
Yeah, that's super important. Just being able to pick up one of your opponent's nades if you can. And for the most part, you see a lot of those utility grenades get tossed off that initial, so that slot's usually open. Now, Precision steps up for a point blank, gets the kill, but the flame comes in for Rushiez, able to take down Xysho. 2v2. The flank on the left comes through, and it will be the Pioneers able to walk away with round number 5. And, one thing is that I've been noticing a lot, Taylor's just Hndles on these flanks. He is quick on them. If he sees nobody in his position, he's going to get behind them as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah, Hndles is known for doing that. All night he's been playing incredibly well, been the X factor at many times, and even whenever Pioneers were struggling against Elevate, I felt like Hndles was the shining star, and obviously making a big impact in that last round, making a big impact when they're showing love at the end of it. But hey, it's 3-2. It looks like the platform fight is popping off very early on. Precision having a ton of pressure, nowhere for him to really go, but he gets away just barely. He does end up falling, but look at this. Rise is ready to capitalize on those downs. And despite the team pickups, it's just simply not going to be enough. And before you know it, it's just Hndles by himself, and he chooses to end himself. Because Jacob, what else are you going to do in a 1v4?
I mean, he knows what's good. Even though Rise isn't known for the constant Y buttons, especially the elongated Y buttons, you don't want to put yourself in the situation to receive that at all, as Hndles kind of takes his own life. But man, who is that at the top of the leaderboard? Over 7,000 damage for the Pioneers as their struggles continue to rise. So,
Oh, that's Big Raul. That's Acells, okay?
I should have guessed it, right?
They call him tea time today, all right? And he's just been serving up. So as he is about to serve up some more tea to Rise going into this round, at least he needs to, and it needs to be served warm, because they need to come back from this two-round deficit in which they're in. Now, they will not get the nade, so they have to be careful. Hndles is applying pressure there to Rushiez on the flank, making sure he can't get no free tosses, but we hear him going off all around us, but no kills coming through. And Acells able to pick up that one player on the flank. Now finds a second. 2v3 situation. Icy with a snipe in hand, misses the headshot, but Rushiez stays alive. Icy can't hit the body shot he needs to, and Rushiez gets taken out.
Taken down, last alive, nowhere to go, and Pioneers will win the round and finish it in really the only way they know how to finish it, all right? Just endless Y button pressing, and that's okay. Hey, look, on 2 of them. Now, see, now they elevated the game. We saw the results after they did it the first time, Jacob, and the result was Rise winning 3 straight rounds. Now, for Pioneers, they're up in the game, and they're doing 2 at a time. So at this point, I don't know, they might be in trouble, brother, because Rise, they might be angry.
Yeah, Rise is one of those teams that the angrier they get, the better they get, as long as they can keep a clear head and kind of use that anger to lead them to victory here. So for Rise, it's not over just yet. In terms of losing that last round, this is Raul continues to build up the damage for his squad, and Pioneers continue to try to close out that gap. Now, you see continued strategies with 3 players over. It's not close enough for either one of these teams to change it up just yet, as the first down is going to come through. A double down, but nobody able to take advantage on the side of the Pioneers just yet, as it's all refi back up. Everybody's forced to back up and reset.
Oh, Rushiez almost getting caught out. Hndles looking to make a play off of that. At least he thought he could, but he stays composed. Rushiez is getting focused. He's in a bad spot. He needs to blind fire this, but he gets a solid L trigger over the top to take down Hndles. Now Rise, they disengage on the back end of the map. The Incendiary will catch Avexys, and the snipe will be picked up by Precision. So it all works out for the Pioneers, even though First Blood went towards Rise.
All right, this big moment, tie things up, right? Swing the momentum into your favor. Rise, not in a good spot. I guess not the worst spot. They just have a lot of utility that they're playing against, and first kill is actually going to come out, or at least first kill in a while, right? Ensign connects onto Detox, so things starting to look a bit dim for Rise, unless Rushiez can pull off some heroic plays, but Pioneers doing a great job creating the spacing. They didn't want to close that gap at all, and they knew, hey, there's no reason to overexpose ourselves to chunk range. Icy by himself, and it's going to be the same result as it was just before. Pioneers going to continually space themselves out, get on each side, and go to town on them.
Yeah. Just the beat downs we were talking about with this squad. They close the gap yet again. They tie it up at 4 rounds apiece.
Are those nades going to connect in time? Precision isn't smooth with it. Precision isn't
circus out
smooth
here.
with it.
The circus out here. That's all I know.
Well, 4-4, man. It's good circus. All right.
It really is a good circus. I've never been to an actual circus, I don't think.
No, you got to go, man. It's
crazy,
incredible.
you know. It's one of those things that, you know, if you don't do it in your childhood, you go when you have kids, right? And so, you know, mine ain't into that. You know, he plays YouTube and all that good stuff. But as we head us here into this next round, Rise sitting 3 over. The 1v1 will stay the same between Hndles and Rushiez. But Icy here, tucked in secondary, waiting to make a play. His man, he'll be matched up against Precision there off the opposite side. No one able to find an advantage just yet. And when it comes down to the utility grenades, everyone used what they had. So no utility grenades left. Unless someone can possibly get... Oh, I took that back. Avexys had one in hand. That's probably the last one that we got on the boards. And Rise is going to try to make something happen off of it. They got the fight started. That's going to be a kill coming out for Icy, but it's going to be up to Rushiez to close this round out. He can't do it.
There it is, Jacob. 5-4, Pioneers with the lead. And even though Rise had that lead, you said when they get angry, hey, they get better. All I'm looking at right now is Pioneers at map point.
Yeah, right now they're just doing the opposite. Honestly, they said, and one of the things I said, and just gonna say, as long as they keep a clear head. Right now, I think they're falling into the old Rise things of being their own worst enemy. They're getting antsy. They're trying to make too many plays and force those plays. They had a great idea around that flash grenade, but you can see it. Nobody made an effective play afterwards. I think one great shot was landed throughout all that chaos on the side of Rise, but you saw the amount of shots and the amount of pressure that was put on by the Pioneers here. So coming into this last round, it could potentially be our last. The strategy's not changing up just yet. Rushiez and Hndles out wide in that 1v1, that 3v3 chaos. Detox is going to go in first, takes a lot of damage. He's forced to back out, so this could be a moment to strike as Icy's left towards that flat side alone.
Yeah, it could be. Now, as everything is starting to settle, Plenty of nades to be utilized into this round for both the squads. But who is going to be able to make that play happen? It was, did you say it was, who? Did the incendiary grenades get picked up? Oh, no, they're right there flashing.
There, yeah.
They're flashing right there in front of Icy's face, right on top of that platform.
No standoff, though. Hey, no one wants to make that move, Blaze.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where does it come from. You know, Icy could make the hop on the plat, but that's really risky, and he's not going to have the best angle. His focus would have to be precision or Acells if he tries to push him. Rushiez has a right hand to work down low if he wants to move around, but you know, he doesn't necessarily have to do it just yet. But Poineers using their one flash to get towards the platform, but they back down right away. They just force Icy off that position, but he's going to go right back and take it. He's like, get out of my way. I need to move in here. I don't want them to have this for free.
Enemy mark.
It takes coordination, though, Blaze. It takes a lot of coordination. But Rushiez can throw his flash grenade from frags all the way towards try to stun the mid lane in precision. Yeah. Avexys also, I do believe, has one where they can flash the pad side. So now they can play the flex or the bait. Depending on what damage they have, they can go for elimination or they can go for those instants. But I think Poineers are going to try to react first. They are on map point here, and they get that down and elimination onto Detox. They're blowing that defense wide open, but luckily for them, Avexys tries to even it up by taking out precision, but it comes at a cost, and that cost was his life.
3v2 now, and Poineers well on the way to taking the victory. Overtime Hill going to be coming up in just mere seconds. Rise does have priority, but Poineers, they've got the man advantage.
He back-aided his own teammate.
Acells, though. Big team kill, 1v2. And that's going to be the end of it. 6-4, and that's 4 in a row, Blaze. Poineers, they weren't playing around.
No, they wasn't playing any games whatsoever. They were down 4-2, but they found a way how to bring this one back. The Poineers currently 2-0 up in this series. And Rise, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how can they beat their greatest competition here so far in the league. Folks, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll have map number 3 on Vasgar.
And welcome back, everybody, to Emergence Day Split 1 Playoffs Grand Finals well underway. 2 maps down and a 2-0 lead for Poineers. They win Regency 300-176, and they just finished checkout 6-4 after a big comeback. Jacob, they now lead 2-0 in the series. Rise on the back foot.
Yeah, Rise, they're on the back foot now, but in both of these matches, or maps, I should say, they started off with a good lead. They started off with momentum, but it's all it took for the Poineers to kind of heat up and go full stallion on their opponents here, and that's just saying something. It just goes to show that what I used to say about the Optic Gaming Dynasty, I'm finding myself thinking and wanting to say about this squad. If you don't go up early against them, if you don't have a big commanding lead in the matchup, and it's not just the scoreline, it's how the match is actually playing down as well, that comeback potential will always be there, and they prove it time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I want to just throw a quote out there for you, Blaze, and it was from Ribs yesterday, and I agreed with them, man. I thought it was great. We were talking about teams and how good they are and everything, and we were talking about, you know, the major and who's looking favored, and we talked about Poineers. And the thing that Ribs said, and I think it just, you know, solidifies it and sums it up best, Poineers just win. You know what I'm saying? That's what he said. That's the quote from the great Ribs. Poineers, they just win. What do you think about that, Blaze?
God.
I think it's actually an amazing quote, and the reason why is because at the end of the day, no matter the strategy in which you bring out in gears, right? No matter how good your shot is, it comes down to it being game day, you in those pressure moments. There you have to decipher the right play and you have to execute it, okay? That's consistency, and not a lot of squads have that type of consistency. But the Poineers as a whole, and with Jack was a coach, they do things and they have an infrastructure in play that makes them one of the most consistent teams in which we have in our league, where other squads are still trying to play catch up at times. You know, even when they beat the Poineers, you know, they beat them off some great initials, you know, get some first early kills, and from there, you know, they play some good gears and win rounds. But, you know, the consistency overall shows in the Poineers record. So at the end of the day, no matter how fancy your strategy is, or no matter how intricate you want to get, when game day comes, you still got to hit your shot.
I definitely got to hit your shots. It's interesting if you go back into history. I think there was a stat graphic, right, if I'm not mistaken, that was brought up during or right before that Week 4 Rise Poineers matchup, and how many times they faced off against each other in Pro League or major MSP. And it was quite telling to see how many times Poineers had won. Again, this is a personal matchup between these two. It really is. And Jacob, One thing that I do want to point out, Vasgar's coming up next. Now, Vasgar is an interesting one, and I think a turning point for Rise. I got to favor them here. That 5-0 beatdown that they gave to Noble on that map was truly impressive.
It definitely was impressive, but once again, this is not the Rise I expected to see in this series. So as much as this could be a turning point for the team as a whole, if they don't follow rule number 1 and get an early lead again and hold on to it, they're not going to be able to beat the Pioneers. If they fall down 2-0, possibly 3-0, you might as well call the match there, but it's not going to mean they have 0% chance because the chances will always be there. It's just, is it worth that energy going right into the major? Do you want to give everything that you got, even though there is some money on the line, to try to give every secret you have on over to this team? Or do you kind of just admit defeat at one point or another, move on towards the major? You already solidified $600. I don't like the giving up portion. I don't suggest it, but to save some energy, to save some time on the night, hey, maybe that could be a possibility.
Blaze, anything on that? Because that's a hot take.
Well, you know what? When it comes down to what Jacob said, things aren't looking good for him right now, right? And you're already down 0-2. They could give it everything they got, force them at 5, still lose. It's going to hurt just as worse, all right? Just because they lost the series and they put themselves in this spot, I feel like Rise is going to give it everything they got on Vasgar and on Reactor control and try to force this map number 5. And if they do that, hey, that'd be great, okay? And Rise is a team that could pull something off like that. It just starts now in this Vasgar escalation. They have to get the ball rolling because the Pioneers right now, they are making it so hard on them. Round after round, fight after fight, Rise isn't getting it. Things aren't going their way. Okay, shots aren't landing. The kills aren't getting traded out, and the Pioneers are just beating them down. I will say there is maybe some light at the end of the tunnel for Rise. Again, impressive victory they had against Noble, specifically that Vasgar 5-0. Reactor, though, granted, heroic effort from Kenny. That 2-piece made everything possible. Powers the MVP clearly during that map number 4. But, the reality is KCP has lost Reactor tonight, and Reactor will be map number 4. Maybe, just maybe there's a chance if Vasgar is won from Rise, they can win Reactor. And who knows? We go into a map 5, which would be 2, which would be incredibly fitting, right? That's got some history there between these two rosters. So there is a chance for Rise. They just need to win one map at a time. And you know what? Teams have normally, if they go down 2-0, right, Jacob, like the escalation is normally the turning point. So this very well could be the turning point for Rise. I honestly hope it will be. I just really want to see an extended series because I think this is a great snapshot heading into the major.
Gonna be a good snapshot, like you said. Even though some of these matches it's 2-0, like I said, great starts by Rise, great and early attempts as they gain the lead in both of those 2-0 losses. So they're gonna have to gain a lead here, and it's just about holding on to it. You kind of look at the Pioneers; they're not afraid to back up, they're not afraid to concede certain fights because they realize of the big picture and what really goes down. You see a 3v3 on one side of the map, but Precision starts us off with a massive victory over Icy.
A massive victory, okay? Now, with that fight being won, he gets to hang out down here towards the tank side of the map, give his team some peace of mind, and he's marking everyone that comes out the spawn. So his squad knows exactly who's in front of them. That's 3 down quickly. Precision could move up a bit, and that's what he's going to do, but he's also letting the squad know, be quick, we got the numbers. Try to win that fight as fast as you can, and they're going to get there in the nick of time. Precision starts to decap, but also Rise knows that they can't get them just yet. They're going to have to fight them to win one more team fight. Oh, they're going to... Okay. Little game of chicken.
I don't know what the answer was there, though, either. That's the sad thing. I don't know what options they had. No flashes, no utilities.
It wasn't a lot.
The teammates just needed to buy time here. Both Icy and Detox going down at the same time is the worst thing that you can have in that scenario. You want to stagger out those deaths, stagger out the touches, so that way those players come off a respawn and hopefully get a trade. But the Pioneers, man, they made that round look easy. Even though it was 1 minute and 18 seconds, I don't think there was a moment they didn't have control.
So
and then you Rise coming off the respawn, having to fight a 1v6, that ain't working out.
A 1v6?
It was 3 guys with meat shields. That's all.
Oh,
that's a lot of damage. They all had meat shields. They all picked up meat shields. They had pistols out. They were not losing that fight.
We're not playing around, man. You can't play around with Rise too much, man. That was pretty scary because that's what Rise was looking like when they were playing against Noble, and Pioneers is doing the exact same thing. Now, Could see a turning point. I hope we do. Rise, they're going to be in a 2v3 though on C. Now Rise should know, hey, we have a 2v1 on B. That's going to put Precision in a tough spot. And in fact, the toughest of spots, he's going to end up dropping. So for Pioneers, they're going to try and work their way up to A. I like this angle from Xysho. This is an easy win, you'd have to assume.
It's easy. Xysho's just aping right now, not taking damage, making sure to recover. And then reuniting with his teammates just in case worst came to worst and he did need a revive as Avexys forced to back up here. 2Hills still in the control of Rise, but I think that's where that's going to come to an end. Big elimination onto Avexys to take that home hill to home hill advantage, while simultaneously you see on the other side of the map, that's going to be Precision Hndles trying to break away and get control of the neutral hill. A late rotation from Rushiez off a respawn is trying to delay what could come through as an aggressive push. Icy goes down. Now it's down to Rushiez.
Yeah, he's trying to get there to help his team out as fast as he can, and he will get there to be able to help take out Precision and give a little bit of help on Hndles. Rise will be able to lock down that B hill, but they need their home hill back as soon as they can. And so what they're going to do is that they're going to try to hold off this 2v2 at A, stack all their numbers between A and C, and if they get the trip cap domination, they're happy with it. If they're just playing for 2 after this fight is over, they're okay with that as well. But at the end of the day, the Pioneers is going to have to put all their resources on top of the C hill.
It's going to be a 4v3, all 4 members up for Pioneers. So once player 2 joins in the mix, they're going to have a full force, but not as just as soon as they had that.
Oh,
yeah, that's a bit of a misroll. And now Hndles is feeling confident. Head down. Wow! Talk about a play for effort. Takes him down with the chunk. But you mentioned it, Blaze, right? Rise is still happy with the 2-1.
Yeah, even though they would have rather had A and C, and they're still probably going to have to come off the respawn and fight for A and C because they didn't get it to start. And you see how they quickly just shift all their numbers towards that side of the map because they know at least one player is on B. So they say, guys, we have to go quickly. Throw your flashes, get into these engagements. Trust that we can trade this out.
It was definitely turned late into this game. The battle could boil down to a victor here with the score being that close. 2Hills already going over to the Pioneers, and they're threatening a third with that victory.
Yeah.
That's Acells, and honestly, there's nobody that's going to get there in time to stop them. So already a 2-0 map lead in just a few minutes. They have a 2-0 round lead on map number 3 as well.
And so I just got to say that that's just a big L for Rise on that team fight. You know, I think that they played it right of sitting their numbers towards C the way that they did, but you can question the speed in which they did it, which I would say it was as fast as they could to get everybody off respawn. But the Pioneers defense with just 2-3 people holding that position was just too strong with the Lancers, okay? Eventually that third guy would have been there on the flank, well, the fourth guy would have been there on the flank. So Pioneers defense, man, you know, they don't need to be a full 4 if they're in that type of setup.
All right, heading into round number 3, Rise had their opportunity to tie this thing up. Unfortunately, it slips through their fingertips after Pioneers wins a decisive victory. And we see the tank fight Precision trying to be the tip of the spear. But, you know, by himself once again. Pioneers has been liking sending 3 members over here. Now, this is the best opportunity, though, for Rise. And Avexys goes for the cleanup. Xysho, though, 100% ready to go and ready for that push from him. Either way, though, Rise does find an opportunity to get the 2-1, but it might be short-lived. Detox is in between a rock and a hard place. 3 members from Pioneers starting to close it in. And in fact, it looks like Pioneers might be committing everything. Look at player 3. He's immediately on to 6, but Icy's ready to go. So Pioneers, they'll still be happy with their 2-1 hill advantage. And the fight for C now underway, Jacob.
You can already see them dispersing to get the home hill back rather quickly. Icy needs to be careful, though. If he doesn't overstep his welcome, he needs to watch out for Acells, who's spawning up as this battle's going to go down. They are not enough for the Pioneers. They want to get this hill back, as you see Xysho popping in, charging, trying to take out Rushiez, but it cost him his life. Precision was able to get it down, but quickly revived back up as the numbers advantage is on over to the side of Rise. Now this is where they're trying to run. They're trying to stay alive, but both of those players do get taken down on the side of Pioneers. Rise could be threatening for a triple cap domination of their own.
We'll see if they can make it come through. They're on top of the A hill. Oh, wow. Xysho with a well-timed flank there on player number 6. Going to give his team one more hill. So Rise disengages, knowing that you're going to have some issues at this A hill soon. I like this cross from Xysho. He hits a big spread on Rushiez. Taking his time with this one, a double down, but who's going to be there to get the cleanup? It's going to be Icy.
He is in fact going to get the cleanup, and Acells last one alive for Pioneers. Ryze has a considerable lead. This is going to put Pioneers in a position where they just have to do everything right. Maybe if they get a decap soon, or at least quickly, they'll be able to, you know, put the odds back in their favor. That's going to be on A, but Acells does everything he can in that moment, eventually dies off. No harm, no foul. Pioneers, I believe, Jacob, their only option is about to be a 2-2 splits where they have to get on all 3 hills.
And that's where that desperation is going to come in, but it's not going to be impossible for them because it's just one big squad wipe going through and then a rotation to help the other side of the map. You see Xysho's taking the brunt of that damage. The bait and switch is going to come through. They find a down on each one of these members, but only one is going to get eliminated. That is Avexys. You see Rushiez jumping in towards the middle. Pioneer spotted that one from a mile away. Acells is going ahead and decapping the neutral. So the point game has come to a halt for Ryze. Now it makes each and every one of these battles that much more important. Almost a triple cap domination, but a double decap for Ryze is going to come through. Rushiez has the hill solo on one side of the map, but that's the spawn point. But I will say, Hndles going down there might be that final nail in the coffin for this round. So Ryze will not be denied. They will not get shut out in this matchup as they win their first round, but still trail 2-1 overall to the Pioneers. But do you think this is a moment to where they shut down momentum reflections, or do you think it's not over just yet for the Pioneers?
I don't think it's over for any roster, to be honest with you. How many times have we seen Pioneers or Ryze had their back against the wall blaze and then they come back?
Yeah, we've seen it plenty of times before. Now, I'm not sold on this. I'm not sold on that comeback for Ryze just yet. I need to at least see them win, you know, 2 more rounds in this matchup. More importantly, like at least one of these next 2 rounds, they need to come away with. If not, if they come away with both, great. If not, it's not looking good for them. But they need to get the work done soon. So that last round is a great confidence builder for them. We're about to see what they can do with the rest of this confidence as both squads break out here off the initial. 2-2 to start for the Pioneers. Ryze will send 3 down low. But as I say that, yeah, the Pioneers, that player 2, he's like, do I want to go forward or backwards? But Pioneers know from this side of the map, CA is one of the best setups in which they can get. So they're going to send majority of their players up there to make some aggressive plays here for this A hill.
All right, here we go. Detox pushing up on a precision. Nice shot from him. A lot of pressure, though, on the A, though, Jacob. And the decap is going to come through, and that shock is going to keep him at bay for the time being. But Ryze, because Detox wins that fight, he's going to get the 2-1 to Ryze's favor. And this could put Pioneers in a difficult spot, specifically for the 3 members up top. Now that Acells has died, Ryze might have a quick round.
Detox went ring around a rosy with precision, but his precision with a point blank to win that that fight and lock in his team's home hill so they can continue to stay into this round. But yeah, Detox wins that battle with the trip cap domination coming out from Ryze. Instead, Ryze, they're looking for another hill. They're looking for another fight, to be more exact, a fight where they can take their numbers and they know it can be down low. With 1 down, that player will not be able to get revived. So Ryze will keep the aggression up. And that's the right play for them, especially while they have the Pioneers up against the ropes to get 2 more kills. And now Ryze, they're going to flank the C hill and put themselves in position for the domination.
They can come through.
Bro, the fact that he won that.
Heroic efforts. I was going to say they can still come through. It's only a down, though. The patience is there from Icy to hold that shot. If he goes shoots this a little too early, Hndles probably gets that up A. His precision gets shut down as well. Ryze have woken up here and tied the series up before the half.
All
Blaze,
right.
Are you convinced now?
I am not convinced just yet.
What? They just tied it up 2-2 and they look good.
It did look good. Let's talk about the next round, okay? Let's talk about the next round.
Let's open it up. Let's talk about it.
I'm just not convinced just yet. You know, it's still 2-2. They got a long way to go, okay? They got to win 3 maps in a row against this Pioneers.
I'm not talking about maps. I thought we were just. Look, my bad. I thought we were simply talking about this map.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about this. You know, I'm talking about the series, but even in talking about this map, the Pioneers got a lot of cushion. You know, not a lot of cushion in this map specifically, but a lot of cushion in the series, and that's going to change up their play style a bit, and I think it's going to change it up for the better. So until Ryze comes away with like this lead, like this round right here, would it be in 3-2? And I'll say I'm convinced that it's, you know, the momentum's even on the map and they can come back, but it's still a lot of work for them to do. It just took 2 quick rounds.
All right, let's get it started now. Go. Beautiful opening. Avexys will take down Hndles, and this fight already going very well towards E, and I like that Rise took priority. They're starting to feel themselves. Like, Rise is playing a lot more confidently this time around than they were playing off those first 2 initial rounds that Pioneers was able to win. So this Rise could put up one hell of a competition, and I like to see that coming through for Pioneers. They will split up 2-2. Once again, the battle on the opposite end will take place. It's going to be a rematch between Rushiez and Avexys, and Acells and Hndles. That was one from Rushiez and Avexys before. Round number 2, let's see if they can win it here. They do have Hndles and Acells pinned up in a good spot. And the other 2v2 between Precision and Xysho, and opposite of Detox and Avexys, might pop off just as well. So this is a critical moment, and it could be a critical moment for Pioneers.
Whew. That was a massive shot from Avexys. Looked a little too far, but he makes it work regardless to try to save the plays. Rushiez goes down. That would have been brutal if he doesn't at least get that trade as he tries to bait out Hndles, who's not falling for it. In fact, he has the flank coming through, and that's why he's playing so patient here. Avexys tries to scramble to make something happen, but he gets denied on all ends. As Rise, though, on one side of the map, they might have lost it. On the other one, it looks to be so successful as they break into the home hill of the Pioneers to get the decap, which is important to kind of know, even if they're not going to get the capture, which they are. It's about keeping the lead that they already have.
Exactly, and so Rise has a great setup so far. They just need to clean this straggler out of their base. And that's Hndles hitting some solid shots, but he's not able to finish out the kill. So Rise, with a home hill setup, they were able to take down Hndles, but they're going to lose Detox in the process as well. So 3v3, Precision eats a point blank over that cover. He's cleaned up. And here comes Acells off the respawn, trying to get some Vengeance. Oh my God, bro. Like, wow. It's tea time, bro. It's tea time after that.
That's tea time all again. Okay, and then, well, that was a bit rocky, but either way, that play before was nice. Xysho dead too. Rise, great recovery. You know, Pioneers, they can look scary at times. They really can, but Rise shuts that right down. But there was an opportunity for a split second, and for the first time, Jacob, Rise will finally take the lead on Vasgar. And like I said, these guys are looking serious now. They're looking a lot better than they did off the start.
Yeah, they definitely have warmed up 3 straight rounds in a row. And you got to think, like I said, the situation that they were in when they got to this grand finals, they had a lot of slang presence. Even yesterday in that Pro League matchup, they had Rushiez kind of going wild underneath these bridges on canals, switched up their strategy, but it relied around him and his slang power. These first 2 maps, that man did not show up. I don't know if he was sleeping. I don't know if he was taking a break, but this is the map. You see how he's breaking through. You see how he's going and upped his slaying power, different from those last 2 maps. And I think Rise is going to have to play into that, and he's going to have to continue to perform if they're going to continue to find the success.
Yeah, I always feel like Rushiez is the X factor when it comes down to respawn game modes for Rise. Just because the simple fact is that when it comes down to it, you know, Rushiez, when he's on that island by himself, you could trust him to win those 1v1s, but you can also trust him to be there for the team in that fight, you know, on that rotation where he needs to be. He gets a lot of information. So definitely expecting him to, you know, really continue his performance on this map as well as the next map if Rise can take this one. And just to give you guys an update, we are having a connection reset for Precision. And once that's all said and done, we'll restart this round and get back into it.
Yeah, we'll definitely get back into it, man. I feel like Rise obviously has the momentum. Those 3 rounds were incredibly powerful from them. You know, there was glimpses that Pioneers was coming back and keeping it competitive. But I mean, if you looked at the points, Rise had the point lead the entire time, and they were playing smart. They were playing objectively well, keeping that point lead, keeping themselves happy. And I go back to Rushiez's push. I forget who it was into, but it was straight on E. And that push was just pure aggression. He's feeling himself. He's feeling confident. 13k damage, not bad at all. So I don't know who the shining star is for Rise per se at this point, but man, these guys are looking good. And you know what? It normally is the turning point. Escalation is the turning point, I see, with the 14k damage done. So technically, he is the shining star statistically. Precision back in the game. I'm excited to get this one going. For Pioneers, look, they can win the series right here, right now. Keep the streak alive. Stay flawless heading into the major. But Rise, I think they have more gas left in the tank, Jacob.
Yeah, I think they are not going to go down without a fight, but with a 2-0 lead, you have to make sure you have not only gas left in the tank, but maybe some reserves in your trunk just in case you do run out. It is going to be one long night if they're looking to come back and not only force that game 5, but take that game 5 away from the Pioneers and the lion's share of that money. But I think this was a breather. I know Precision might not have been in the call, probably talking over strategy, but for the rest of the team, that core 3 members that are still there, they should have used that to figure out what is going wrong and how to fix it.
All right, everything's back underway as we head here into round number, what is this, 6? 4v4. Actually 4v3 as Pioneers send a majority of their members over here for the fight. They are able to get 3 quick downs on the side of Rise, and now at this moment it's up to Rushiez to make some big plays in his lane. This is where you were just kind of really mentioning, Jacob, where he comes up big for the squad in these type of positions. Now he's going to be able to give his team the intel, and we're seeing it as well that Pioneers, they just want to play for 2. A basic home hill set up here in the second half, a D and F hills locked in. Everyone's just trying to count numbers, get their marks, and make sure they can figure out exactly where the plays need to be made at.
That down, they used it with a great flash, pairing it together to try to push in and take the position away. Rushiez goes down on towards that home hill, but somebody's there to try to help them in that situation. It's actually Hndles who leaves that exchange, trusting his teammate, but it's Xysho, the player that's making a case for MVP. Heck, I would trust him too to take on a 1v2 if he continues to impress me week after week after week. Triple cap domination attempt is going to come out. 4 players arise, trying to break the hill, but Avexys gets shut down. The players are marked out to perfection. Acells is trying to land those shots, but he's forced to reload. Honestly, that is going to be, I think, the blunder. He's going to clean up that down. Players arise, continue to fall. Pioneers are trying to tie this game up at 3. Acells finally gets shut down, but not after he commits a murder on the team of Rise as they get that last elimination onto Avexys. Barring any miracles here, Icy should not be able to touch that hill, and Pioneers will tie us up at 3 rounds apiece. And now that we're all tied up at 3 apiece, is there any keys to victory at this stage in the game, reflections that you think either one of these teams can utilize?
I think Rise has been doing a great job in the last 3 rounds that they did. They were playing nice, methodical. Big thing is they were winning their key team fights, when they were splitting up 2-2. The M-bar does change things, and in a way, I do think it benefits Pioneers because now they have a pointed place to go to and fight with. Pioneers have been winning tonight in terms of slaying power in team fights, so that was one of the best weapon placements they could have put on the battlefield. And they're also benefited here now too because they're going to be on the lower side, which means they're going to be able, or rivals side, excuse me, they should be able to get that quick pick depending on how the shock and the instance place. But yeah, I think Pioneers are doing exactly what they need to do. They've got the lead, they have the momentum, they have the advantage. Rise, though, did a great job countering the snipe when Noble placed it, and they're looking to do exactly that. And Rushiez, just like against Noble Blaze, opens it up wide with first blood, but now he's in trouble.
Well, he's not in trouble anymore. He couldn't get the revive there on his teammate. That would have been a fantastic play for him. But still, a great opening from him and his squad. He got enough kills for his team to be able to lock down his tank side of the map. Big revive coming out for Icy. Hndles is down behind the tank, and unless Xysho closes up that 1v2, he will not be living. But Pioneers quickly off the respawn. Rushiez will join the fight off the respawn as well. Detox spawned up to go take over neutral, but down low, M-bar in the hands of Icy. Rise just take the lead. They just need not get caught back here behind this tank side fight alone. They do have the help, but this is where things get scary. Some solid L triggers there. And at the end of the day, it's Pioneers winning that fight. I think Rise could have just took a step back and let the Pioneers play into their hands, and they would have won that fight with ease.
Yeah, I agree with that. Rise, they don't need to get overzealous. What was so successful, right, in those other team fights that they were winning in the 3 rounds that they won? Well, they weren't trying to take everything. They didn't care about the domination per se. They were taking the high statistical fight, the high statistical one, which was backing up, playing their 2-1, playing their advantage. And in that case, they did have the 2-1, but they wanted a bit more, right? They wanted to get onto F and maybe take the entire thing and really, keep with that momentum they had earlier. But Pioneers, I don't know, they're built different at this point, and they're looking great. Once again, another tank fight underway. First blood in that fight going towards the way of Pioneers, and Icy and Rushiez now trying to carry the torch, but they're getting flanked by Precision. Another one will fall, and things go from bad to worse, Jacob.
Definitely You go to bad to worse because they were doing so good in this situation, and now they're falling into that trap that I'm talking about. They didn't get a big enough lead in the beginning, so now the Pioneers have turned it on in the second half. Triple cap domination. Avexys gets denied. Rushiez doing what he can. The trade is a good start, but the team needs to pick it up along with them. A good shot is going to be landed, though. Quickly, they are going to be denied. Both IC Rushiez and Detox don't make it to get those trades, and the Pioneers will steamroll yet another round and go on map and series point, one step away from shutting out Rise in 3-0 fashion.
Yeah, he did a good job responding after that little, connection reset there where Rise won those 3 rounds in a row. Now, let's not forget that we tuned in to Rise earlier today. I think it was when they played PK, and they came back winning 3 rounds in a row at the end of the game. Now, this time they just need to do 2. So, they've been in this position before, and I want to say on the same side as well as far as Cog and Swarm goes. But at the end, we saw I want to say a 4-man rush coming out here from Pioneers about 2 rounds ago. We'll see if they decide to do it again. Now that round, they did get all those downs. They won the round, and they end up winning it off the second team fight. But we're seeing that they are going to be sending 4 again to this fight, Taylor.
They're definitely going to be sending 4. The benefit is, obviously, they don't have to face off against an instant. Look at this flank from Rushiez. If Pioneers doesn't see this going, or they don't finish this tank fight early enough, Rushiez could have a big impact, but he has been put in check by Xysho. So now the fight can continue. Rise seems like they're definitely going to win this. Avexys, though, is going to be taken down, and now it comes down to Rushiez. Head down. He's gone. And that's 4 down for the side of Rise. And that could have went so much better. I thought Rushiez was going to get a ton of value, but Jacob, Rise is now on their last leg. Once Precision gets over towards E, it's going to be a straight 3v3 battle, and if Rise loses it, it's over.
That's very minimum. Ooh. They're going to need trades to come through, but everybody on the Pioneers back up. Try to let that M-bar reign supreme, and he connects with 1 so far. Gets the second one with the help of Hndles, and you talked about it. You said it. The flank coming through. Everybody is just dispersing like cockroaches with the light turned off, and they're just getting squashed left and right as Hndles connects with another one. Rushiez goes down. Detox, the last hope, and he doesn't get a chance. The Pioneers shut out Rise with a 3-0 victory.
Big congratulations to the Pioneers coming out as your EDAYS champions with that 3-0 victory, Taylor. What a series it was.
Not just EDAYS champions, EDAYS Split 1 playoff champions, the first ever champions when it comes to our first official season. What a beautiful thing for the Pioneers, and they earned it. You know, they won week number 1, they won week number 4. And hey, they win where it matters most. They get the whole bag. $2,400 going to them, $600 going to Rise. It was a good run for both teams, but in grand finals, Pioneers clearly had Rise's number. And I gotta say, you know, Pioneers is a team that hasn't lost in 4 months. Now, Dynasty talk, maybe still too early, but they're definitely laying down the foundation. If they win the major, now they start getting really serious about the Dynasty talk. But at this point in time, I don't even know how many EDAYS. I want to say that's their 10th EDAYS that they've won, Jacob. Like, it's stupid at this point. In a row, 10th in a row.
It's definitely hard to keep on counting those different qualifier weeks. If you guys did tune in, you're like, hey, wait a minute, somebody else beat them, or at least somebody else was a champion a few weeks ago. New format. Those are just qualifier weeks. There's no money on the line, and everybody knows sometimes the Pioneers and some of these top teams don't necessarily try with money on the line. They're just trying to secure their qualification for this moment, and that's when the Pioneers have showed up, and I like the way that they did it. They started off with a 3-1 victory, a little bit slow. Then they have a big battle against E United. Penny coming up big, forces that game 5, but that was just extra reps underneath their belt. That was just extra practice, because you see it didn't affect them too much as they come into our finals with another 3-0 victory. They have to be the heavy favorites, and I'm talking heavy. I'm talking heavyweights, fat camp heavy favorites to win the championship at the beginning of December.
Yeah, they gotta be, okay, because the way that they've been playing when that big money's on the line, you can't take anything away from them. They're consistent, okay? And with that consistency, it makes them super scary. And every one of our teams in our league, they try to be quicker. They try to be cleaner. They try to be louder just so they can, keep up with them and stop this team from becoming a dynasty, because all our players out there, they want to be that team that's a part of that next legendary squad. But they're going to have to beat this legendary team to do it.
It's so crazy how good the Pioneers can be in tournament format. Now, the only L they do take, obviously, has to be Pro League. They did win the last Pro League. Rise, though, much respect, won this Pro League. But aside from that, right, when the money really is on the line and it comes down to, you know, winning tournaments, it's all Pioneers, and they're just so good. It's honestly unreal at this point in time. But hey, there it is, a 3-0 victory, and that's a powerful 3-0 victory for a number of different reasons. First off, it's against Rise. Rise #1 in Pro League this phase. Rise beat Noble. Noble, a team that, you know, could be favorited for Latin America to win the major coming up right in the next 2 weeks. And Rise, you know, decimated and destroyed Noble. Make no mistake about it. After that Regency ended 300-297, Noble, they were shook and they could not win Tomb. They could not win Vasgar. They lost 6-1 and 5-0 respectively. So for Pioneers to 3-0 Rise after Rise just did that to Noble plays, like that makes Pioneers extra scary.
No, it really does. And when you think about all three of these maps, Pioneers won them all in the late game. Okay, it was pretty much dead even at the 150 mark in map #1, but they adjusted, outplayed them there in that late game towards the back end of the hills. Same thing with execution on checkout. Pioneers were down 4-2, made adjustments, won 4 rounds in a row, beat them in the late game. Escalation Vasgar, Pioneers down 3-2, made adjustments, won 3 rounds, beat them in the late game. So they're not getting ahead of themselves, and they are making sure that every single round that they roll out of spine, that they are learning something about their opponent, and they know that they're going to play every single map and every single series all the way down until the game decides who's going to be a winner.
It's been an incredible night, guys, through and through. You know, a lot of one-sided matches. That did surprise me, but it was still an exciting night nonetheless. Jacob, let's break down our bracket that we ended up running through. We started in round 1. You know, a couple of close series relative. The closest one obviously being Noble and Oxygen. That makes them look strong. But then we get into semifinals. How'd that end up breaking down?
I mean, you see it. Rise just makes short work of Noble. And honestly, all jokes aside, it might have been too short of work. They didn't get enough practice. They weren't warmed up enough. And in terms of their opposition, they weren't contested enough. And the same in their first round matchup against the Knights. I don't think they were contested enough to put up that battle once you go against the Pioneers. And on the bottom half, you kind of see it. United 3-0 over Fire and Ice. That one is a little bit too close for comfort. They force a game 5 versus the Pioneers just to fall flat, and that's where the Pioneers, I think, you 3-0 a team like United. That's got to give you so much confidence going into the grand finals, and they made it look easy again. They had 2 leads on the side of Rise that were kind of taken away by the Pioneers' success, and then even when the Pioneers start off with a 2-0 lead, it gets tied up into the half. They're like, hey, boys, we have to turn it on yet again. That switch gets flipped, and the Pioneers continue to take over. And that it's a scary sight at times, because I'm thinking into this season, there's so many top teams, there's so many elite contenders to take the championship, but there's only one team that hasn't really lost in 4 months. And there's only one team you could definitively put your confidence on going into that major.
And Blaze, one thing that I do want to take note is, yeah, they haven't lost in 4 months, and we consistently bring up that storyline. It's not like they don't know about it. You would think the pressure would affect them, but it doesn't. I think that's the most beautiful thing heading into the major. Like, the pressure genuinely, at this point, it's been proven, does not affect Pioneers at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. And, you know, when you are in the Pioneer shoes and you've been winning as much as you have, but not even just like the amount, it's how you've won, you know, reverse sweeps, crazy game 5s, you know, your opponent's 10 points away from winning control. You come back and you come out victorious. Same thing, and even execution. You're down 4 rounds, you come back. They have been in every single scenario and came out on top. So any map in which they load up into, they're ready for whatever. And they know that their opponent does not have as much experience as them. And so even if they do, it's about having experience as a team, as a 4, right? Accomplishments as a 4. Those squads in our league can't stack up to them right now. So the Pioneers, as long as they have focus, they can come out on top and win another chip in December.
I agree with that. We've been hyping up Pioneers, and for good reason, right? They just look unstoppable, and no one can stack up at this point. But still, not a bad night from some other teams, Jacob. I think E United put on a wonderful performance. They sent Pioneers to a map 5. Rise again, getting that tremendous victory against Noble was impressive. Elevate looking okay. You know, Oxygen obviously going to a map 5 themselves in their first series against Noble. So I think across the board, outside of Pioneers being the outlier as the most dominant team, we still have some very talented and strong teams heading into the major.
I agree with you 100%. You got your United, you have the Rises, even though they didn't win this one. Noble still a contender. Even some teams that you didn't necessarily get to see today, and that includes that Rebel roster that didn't necessarily qualify for this one. I don't necessarily know who they went up against in each and every one of the first rounds. They had a chance to compete, but that just goes to show how close the competition is. And I got to say, even though I'm over here kind of tooting the horn of the Pioneers, saying they got to be heavy favorites, I think this is the event. And I'll say it again. I think Latin America has the best chance in the hands of Noble, Rebel, and the Pittsburgh Knights.
I agree with that. Well, it's been an incredible night. Blaze, you've been a superstar, man, all week long. Despite being sick, you've still casted, which is incredible to me, man. What are your final words before we get out of here?
I'm just, as Jacob said, I'm gonna say that I do think this is one of the best chances that LATAM have. Shoot, dang, almost made it out clean. But this is one of the best chances that LATAM have at winning an event. You know, they have some of the best rosters that we've seen in a long time. And they have, even win or loss, they've had great series leading up into this point. All our teams in our league, right? And so that's what they have to take away from this. Say, you know what? We got a lot of things to study, a lot of film to study. It's a lot of matches out there we can go back and watch, a lot of VODs we can go look at, even if it's not their matchups. We saw some great series today, okay? And it just comes down to the entire team just being on the same page, play after play, and how fast you can execute that. So I'm excited to see what this final 2 weeks of practice and preparation is going to equate to for the fall major.
Well, Jacob, I know you got your opinions on practice and what it means, but hey, you also killed it tonight and you killed it yesterday. It's been an incredible week and a good ending to Split 1 as a whole, not only for EDAYS, but also for our Pro League. What are your final words before we get out of here?
Hey, man, I'm just with Blaze. This final 2 weeks, that's where every excuse you could probably throw at somebody after losing the major is right out the window. You guys are on notice. Pioneers are heavy favorite. Yeah. So, guys, if you're not going to practice, if you're not going to put in the work, and you're not going to grind, don't be surprised when they reign supreme at the end of the day, because we know all four of those players, they not only love Gears, they live and breathe it as well. And that's something that's hard to stop. Passion is so hard to stop in a game, especially when it gains momentum in the fashion that they do.
Absolutely, passion, and will drive you forward in life, whether it be in Gears or life in general. You got to have passion to be successful. Hey, guys, it was an incredible night. Loved every single second of it. It's been again incredible, I think, Split 1 for EDAYS in general, and like I said, Pro League. And we loved having you along for the ride, whether you're watching on Xbox's channel for Pro League or obviously here at UMG Gaming. We loved having you. Hit that follow button if you haven't already. We're going to take a little hiatus when it comes to Gears, but when we come back, we're going to have the biggest event for Season 3, obviously being the major. I can't wait to get it started, but all good things must come to an end, and this is one of those things. For myself, Taylor, Reflections, Double Guy, Blaze, Jacob, MVPR, production team, and you in chat, thank you so much for being here, and be back for the major. We would love to have you.